Hello everyone and welcome to PS4 Fun and this my Division beta feedback. And before I get into the game itself, I'm going to give you some caveats. I didn't get access to the beta straight away with everybody else. I got my key quite late on Sunday evening. So by the time I downloaded the beta, it was gone midnight on Sunday, so I spent about half an hour fiddling around with it and then spent about 3 hours on Monday altogether. So I really only got just over 3 hours of access to it, so this is my impressions based on that limited time. Also, for some obscure reason, I use an Elgato capture card, and it captured all of the sound in the menu screens and when I was in the home base, but has captured absolutely no sound out in the world. This is obviously something to do with the Division's coding itself, because I don't have a problem recording anything else. Hopefully that will be sorted by the time the game launches, so that anybody who is interested in playing the game and capturing it for YouTube or whatever is able to do so with the sound attached, because actually ambient sound is very good indeed. So this is just a first impression based on about three and a half hours of time. I would say that the majority of that was solo, and then I spent about an hour and a quarter in the dark zone with a group of 3 friends, which we will come to later. So for now, we're going to get on with general gameplay and just talk basically about my experience. So on the face of it, Division is a third-person cover-based shooter. But it is different than other cover-based shooters. So, for instance, something like Uncharted. Uncharted is reliant on your skill and accuracy. If you hit someone in the head with a bullet, a single shot will generally take an enemy down. The Division is not a traditional cover-based shooter. It is a cover-based shooting RPG. Therefore, as you can see from the footage we're looking at the moment, when you shoot stuff, lots of little numbers come up. If you shoot something in the head, bigger numbers come up than when you shoot them in the body, but unfortunately that still means that a single shot to the head is unlikely to take an enemy down. So your proficiency in battle is, yes, you have to be able to aim properly at the people you're going for, but also it's about gear. So this game is everything, it's about the gear. So it's a shoot and loot. It's like Destiny, it's like Borderlands. You shoot stuff to gather loot, which upgrades your character, the damage that you can do, and it is your armor and your weapon that really is about how much damage you inflict on guys. So when you're shooting guys, you'll see in the footage that we've got running over this particular section that it is all about numbers, and eventually you'll upgrade better weapons, and you know, it's all very good. If you don't mind the RPG elements of it, I don't mind that at all. I'm actually quite a rubbish shot in third-person shooters anyway, so the fact that I don't ever rely on hitting headshots all the time is quite a relief to me, to be honest. So, the gameplay itself, as you say, cover-based shooter. It's a pretty game. It's not an exceptionally pretty game, but it is a good game. It doesn't look as glorious as it did at E3 in 2013, but that was a vertical slice, and you expect that to look a lot better. The game itself, or the animations for the characters, are fluid and fun, and what you'll get is 2 weapons that you can carry around with you at any one time. 2 main weapons and a handgun. So 2 long guns, a rifle and a shotgun, which is what I eventually ended up having, and then a handgun that has unlimited ammunition. So that's quite nice. It's a handgun, and you don't have to spend, if you have run out of ammunition on your long gun, your shotgun, whatever, you have got a handgun that you can just keep firing for as long as you like. So that means that if you're in a tight corner or you haven't found a restock place, that you can just keep shooting. So it is about numbers. It is about the random RNG, random number generation. You'll see as we go through the game, you see me shooting stuff, you'll see numbers all over the place. That's what it's all about. It is a dice roll, it's an RPG, it's not about how good and handy you are with your crosshairs, or not so much anyway. Enemies can take a huge amount of damage, but as can you. You can see from this footage here that I've got 3 little orange bars next to my character. This is my health. At no point during me soloing the campaign and going into the main game did my health get into the first of those bars. So I never felt as if I was at any risk at any point of being owned. It looks like the main campaign is solo friendly. I'll talk more about that in a second. But the main world is a world that you occupy on your own, and you will start upgrading a home base, a bit like Metal Gear Solid's Mother Base. That is what unlocks your skills, because your base has a medical wing, a technical wing, and a security wing. As you upgrade those, they unlock perks and abilities for you. A bit more realistic, because not so you level up and suddenly you can do this, that, and the other. No, your leveling up is through your main base. So, for instance, I managed the only mission, the story mission that's available, is to get your medical base sorted, and by getting my medical base sorted, I ended up with a perk that wasn't available in the beta, but also an ability that healed me, or I could lob that healing over to party members and heal them. And it was a good heal. It gave you, about half your health back, but it was on a 2-minute cooldown, so you could only use it regularly. So that's nice. So you unlock your main skills and abilities by upgrading either technical, security, or medical bays within your base, and the base changes and looks cooler as you get through it. So that is quite good. You can take an awful lot of damage, but I say bullet spongy as far as your enemies are concerned. So we'll be watching some footage of me fighting. So here's going through the menu system in a minute. It's fairly intuitive, but what we're going to do now is to go in and shoot some guys. So I'm going to skip to a piece of combat so you can see how the combat works while I talk about the boss fights in particular. So like I said, the main campaign seems to be set in a part of New York, and that New York is yours and yours alone. So when you're doing main story missions, you will not see other players unless they have been invited by you into the game, in which case you can have a group of 4 and you can do cooperative missions together. That will work very well, because one of my reservations about the game is your ability to solo it, and also how much interest that soloing will maintain throughout missions. Now, you have the main story missions. Within the beta, there is only one story mission available, this one, which has been seen on the internet a fair amount. It is going to Madison Square Garden, and it is mowing down a load of bad guys to release a doctor who is going to enable you to sort out your medical wing. As you can see, I've taken down about 5 or 6 guys already, and I'm not even down into the second part of my health. It regens, but it only regens as far as the bar. So if I'm into the second bar, it will regen to the top of the second bar. Right now it's regenning up to the top of the third bar, which is fairly standard. We've seen that in shooters before. There is medipacks you can take, which will give you a big boost, and you want to be collecting loot, because that's what the game's all about. So out to New York, story missions, and then there will be encounters. And I did 3 of these. 2 of the encounters were pretty standard fare. There were some helpful non-player characters, some guys on your side who were being attacked. You had to protect them by blowing the merry snot out of the guys who were attacking them. There was also a different one where I arrived at a house and I had to go through that house. It was contaminated, so I had 5 minutes, and I had to find 3 data points, collect the data, and then run to a place and download or upload that information about the virus to my base. So that was nice. There was a little combat in it, but it was kind of the pressure of getting through, finding all of the bits you needed, and then trekking across the rooftops to a place where you could upload it. I've also heard about missions around missing persons, which are less combat heavy. So it looks like the kind of mission variety might be quite good, but I don't really know very much about the story at all beyond that. But the majority of the game you can solo. And I had no problems at all with this. Early mission, I know, but I'd imagine that anyone can go through and solo it. The question for me is, particularly when you get to the boss fights, are you really going to want to? And I'm going to skip to a section of a boss fight to explain what I mean in a second. So the boss fight is on the roof of the building. There are a wave of enemies that come towards you, and you mow them down relatively easily. And there is one boss enemy there, and the bosses have armor and better weapons. That's pretty much it, and you have to erode their armor, get rid of it, and then their health drops just as quickly as any other of the grunts out there. So I'm going to show you my final encounter with the boss, which is my main reservation about the potential solo friendliness of this particular game. So I'm going to skip to that right now. So here I am with the boss. He is hunkered down, as you can see in the piping over there. I took out all of his mates relatively easily, and then I found some high ground and I hid there. And what he does, he's got a very powerful attack, and he launches that attack at me, and then he reloads. So there it goes, powerful attack, powerful attack, powerful attack. I hide, and then when he's finished his powerful attack, I pop my head out of cover, and he's poking his head conveniently beyond the cover so I can see him. So there we go. And then I pop my head round. Oh, that was a bit rubbish. There you go. And I start shooting at him. And then he reloads and starts shooting at me. So I take cover again and wait for him to finish. And this is my problem, is that I can see that it might get a bit of a grind fest. This is how I beat the first boss in the game. There was no artificial intelligence with him. I found the high ground. He hid, and when it was obvious that I was just slowly taking him apart, he didn't attempt to break cover. He didn't attempt to flush me out with grenades or anything like that. He just reloaded, shot at me, and then when he finished shooting, I shot back. It was about 4 minutes because he had an awful lot of armor and I was trying to hit him from a very long way away. But it meant that it became a war of attrition rather than any sense of skill at all. And so once the armor's gone, he went down like a sack of spuds, essentially, and I got really nice loot from it. If you're working with other people, as happened when I was in the dark zone with my friends, you can do tactical stuff. You can get someone, you can draw fire while someone flanks. I mean, there's more strategy, and I think this is a game with 2, 3, 4 people is going to be exceptional, particularly over voice chat, because you'll be saying, do this, do that, I'm here, help me, that kind of stuff. On your own, it's probably going to boil down to finding a little place to hide and eroding the boss enemy's health until he goes down. There you go, you can see I've got rid of all of his health, and all of his armor, and his health is going down very quickly. So this is my biggest reservation about the main core game if you are someone like me who generally plays on their own rather than a group, simply because I don't have time necessarily to group up with people. So there it goes. I'm going to finish him now, I think. Here we go. And he's dead. Oh no, did I get him? Never mind. One more go. But you can see what I'm talking about. It's a little bit, as far as that's concerned, maybe more tactical as the game goes through. It's far too early to say, really. But that was my overriding kind of thought about main story missions and boss fights, that I'm likely just be hiding away, and it's going to be a war of attrition and quite dull. Okay, so now let us talk about the Dark Zone. By any means the most intriguing and fun part of the Division for me. The Dark Zone is where you do PvP, player versus player, but it's quite innovative. So you have a part of New York which is still very highly contaminated from the biological virus that was released, and you go into it to get the best loot. There are NPC characters that you kill for the best loot, and then because it is contaminated, you have to have it choppered out, so you have to call in an airlift and then get your lovely loot out so it can be decontaminated and delivered back to your base. So you collect loot, and you can't just leave the Dark Zone with your loot, you have to have it extracted. What you have is other players. Now there's other players that are also trying to get loot, but they are not automatically aggressive. So you are all trying to get really cool loot, running around the place, shooting NPCs, and once you get loot, you have to chopper it out. And this is where the tension really happens, because you call in an airstrike. Call in an airlift. You have to wait about 90 seconds for the helicopter to arrive. And once a helicopter has arrived, you have then around about 20 seconds to attach your loot. Only 4 people's loot can go on the helicopter at any one time. So if you call the helicopter in, and there were 4 of us in our party, I was playing with 3 friends, then everyone knows that the airstrike is happening. So those of you got loot, you can see my little yellow bag on my bum there. That's my loot bag. You can have up to 6 items before you have to get it airlifted out. Now, other people then know your helicopter's coming in, and if they've got loot that they want to get out, they start coming towards you. Now, only 4 people can put their loot on the helicopter, which might make someone want to shoot you to death to nick your loot and nick your space on the helicopter. So suddenly, when you get a load of people congregating around an extraction point, it gets a bit tense, because you don't know whether that person is going to shoot you in the back or not. Now, there is a mechanic to have consequences to shooting people in the back, and that is the rogue thing. Going rogue is when you shoot another player character. What happens is, and I'm going to show you something with it in a minute, your character then gets a little skull over its head and a little red mark. And we're about to see me, I think this is a bit where one of us accidentally shoots another player and goes rogue. These guys were shooting at us. We took them down. Somehow, someone shot someone they shouldn't have done, and we're all now rogue. So I've got a skull above my head with a counter with 85 on it. There is one little bar above the skull, which means I'm level 1 rogue. I don't show up on the map, but if people see me, they can shoot me with no consequence to them, and then they will get what are called Dark Zone points. So for killing someone as rogue, you get points, currency that you can spend in the Dark Zone vendor, which is where the really good loot is. Now, if my counter gets to 0 without me being killed, I then get Dark Zone points. So becoming rogue can be a tactical thing, but you've got to survive it. So we accidentally go rogue here, and essentially for around about 10 minutes, we're attracting an awful lot of attention. And essentially we try to run, so this guy's trying to shoot us, not realizing suddenly there's 4 of us. You're going to see my favorite thing, sticky bomb. Boom! Got him. That was my favorite mechanic in the game. But these guys are now thinking if we kill them, we get points. But every time we shoot someone who isn't rogue, we get more time added to our timer. So it's really difficult. So in the end, we just ran away. And we spent around about 10 minutes, which sounds really dull, but it was really tense and fun, just running around New York until our counters reset. And we managed to survive this. Our counters reset, and we all got lots of points. One of the guys had been particularly naughty and got a ton of currency. So that's a lovely dynamic, and it puts you on the map and on the target. Now I'm going to skip to another clip in a minute where you'll see a little yellow bar above one of the guys, and that is the manhunt. And I'll explain what that is in just a second. So if you have a little look at one of my buddies ahead of me, he has a yellow circle around his rogue skull, which means he has been exceptionally naughty, and he is now labelled for a manhunt, which means he appears on everybody's map. Everyone in the Dark Zone knows where he is, and if they kill him, they get an absolute ton of Dark Zone currency. So suddenly we are running for our lives because we have everyone and their mother around us, and he's currently got something like 200 seconds left on his counter. So we'd run around going, right, we want to survive this. We don't want to engage in combat, because actually the benefits of hiding and running away once our counters are 0 are going to be massive. I got 400 Dark Zone points for mine. He got something like 600, and that was enough to buy a really decent weapon and some armor in the vendor. So we eventually find a little place to hole up. His counter does get to 0, and we get all of our lovely Dark Zone points. And it was tense, and it was fun, and it was brilliant. This rogue mechanic is something that is going to be really cool, but potentially could be abused. And I'm going to show you why that is. It's also irritating and frustrating, but really, really cool. And we're going to jump to a clip at the minute, which is basically all of our counters are 0, and we go to an extraction point to get all of our lovely loot back to our bases and decontaminated. So this is the end game. We'd survived being rogue. We went to call the helicopter in, and then this happens. Okay, so at this point we have called in the chopper. We're waiting for the helicopter to arrive. A couple of NPCs turn up and we shoot them to bits. And there's also some other player characters here. You can tell those by the grey names above them. So there's an NPC. Taking him down. Fantastic. I think I actually get owned here and killed because I'm greedy and I want the loot. Oh, yeah, there we go. So I'm downed. Someone comes and revives me. But the helicopter arrives. We're all happy. There's lots of people around, but, you know, they're not being aggressive. They're being nice. And then what happens is, in comes, sorry, I've got to wait for the timing of this. So the helicopter comes in and we all walk into the center to pick up and attach our loot to the cable. So just keep watching. Here we go. So there's the extraction point. It's come in. I'm going to hide for a second. I was covering it while my friends went and put their loot on it, and then I'm going to go in and put my loot on. Where are we? There we are. So there's the extraction point. We're being a little bit tentative, checking out that no one's going to hurt us, and then we just dive in and start attaching our stuff to the cable. Here we go, a little bit of heal. In we go, and there we go. I'm putting my stuff, and then suddenly a rogue gang comes in, throws a load of grenades into the middle whilst we're caught putting our stuff onto our thing. An NPC wades in there as well, and we wipe. We completely die, which means all of our loot is lost. It's gone. It's all over the place. Now, the good thing about this is, despite the fact that these jokers came in and took us out, we do have a bit of karma, because there's a guy with a baseball bat, and the guys who ganked us then get owned by the NPC, so they're killed. We respawn at the start of the zone, and thankfully, because all of them got killed by the NPCs, all of our lovely loot and all of their lovely loot is still on the roof. So what we do, we leg it back to where the drop happened. We pick up our stuff, take up some NPCs. I think I'll get killed again here. I didn't spend that much time being killed. It just happened a lot in this bit I'm recording now. But we picked our stuff up. We have called in the helicopter, which is on the lower part. I hadn't realised where it was, and I wanted that blue, so I ran and got it. Attached our loot. Now, as we attached our loot, I think the guys who had ganked us suddenly reappeared, because they'd had the same idea and started shooting at us. But by that time we went, right, okay, let's attach our loot. So my loot is now attached to the cable on the helicopter, and we just then go, right, we're leaving, and we'd run like Billy-O. There he goes, there's my lovely loot going up into the air, and just get the heck out of there. We find a place to rappel down, and we're done. I thought, no, I got killed again. One of my mates came and revives me, and we just run away. But this is what makes the Dark Zone so fun and interesting. It's this dynamic that you can never quite trust people outside of your group, which is really tense and fun. And the fact you can hear chat, there's a proximity chat, so if people are using chat near you, you can actually hear what they're saying. So if they're plotting to shoot you in the back, you can hear it and do something about it. Fabulous dynamic. The one bit that would concern me is that if you are using matchmaking, for example, to meet up with a group of people, they can turn on you. So if you were a solo player who was relying on other people you don't know, people who don't play with regularly, there's a heal, by the way, lovely. If you're relying on those people, then you could be in danger of getting ganked an awful lot. So for solo players who are relying on strangers to play with, could be a risk and could get very frustrating if you get a load of, trolls, essentially. But in a group, if you're in 2s, 3s, or in this case, the maximum group of 4, the dynamics of the Dark Zone are fascinating and fun and really innovative and interesting. So, to sum up, The Division, a very positive experience. I thoroughly enjoyed my time with the game, despite the fact that I only got 3 hours, and I was appreciative that when they did extend the beta, they sent keys out, so that's great. A friend of mine played it pretty much all weekend and had a great time, and she plays a lot with other people. Am I going to buy The Division? It's a great game. It looks fine. It plays solidly. My concern is that as someone who generally plays solo, and I lucked into this group of friends. One of my friends, my best friends, was online, and she had a couple of guys with her, and I hooked up with them. It's unusual that I have that, because I seriously don't have time to play online generally. For me, this game would not be one that I would buy, not because I wouldn't enjoy it, because I know I would, but because it relies, or the main bulk of the game, like the Dark Zone and the interesting bits, relies really on you having a group with you. And it looks like the main mission stories are not going to be, they're solo friendly in as much as you can beat them on your own, but not solo friendly in as much as that they would be massively interesting to achieve. So for me, no to The Division, unfortunately. Much as I'd like to say I'm going to play this game to death, I would love to, but it's just not going to happen because I don't have the right community around me as far as my gameplay habits are concerned. However, if you are someone who plays regularly with a group, if you've got a clan from Destiny, or you've just got a friend that you are always playing with, this game is going to be brilliant. It is innovative, it's interesting, it's gritty, it looks great, it plays well. So if you've got 1, 2, 3 mates that you can pick up and play with on a regular basis, I would highly recommend The Division. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. The Dark Zone was just one of the favourite things I've done in games for a while. So, The Division beta, I think, successful. There's some tweaks to do, there's some balancing issues. You become rogue too easily. It'd be nice if it took a few more shots, just in case you accidentally shoot someone in a big firefight. It isn't very forgiving in that respect. But it is a fun game. Once the tweaks are done, I have no doubt that a lot of people are going to play it and enjoy it. So that's my first impressions of the beta for The Division. I hope you found the video interesting and informative. And as always, if you've liked the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of this kind of thing. Follow me on all of the social media links, for which are in the description below. And as always, thanks for watching and have a fantastic gaming week. Bye bye for now.